I don't think this actually like aligns with your beliefs, but did you ever read the Left Behind series?
No, I don't know of this. Don't know of that.
Obviously, so it deals with the second coming of Christ and the rapture, right?
Oh,
which
okay,
obviously is, very
They did comics
different.
on that, Ryan.
Yeah.
They did a
What's that?
comic.
A Nicolas Cage film.
Yeah,
They did
so
comics
there's
on it, yeah.
obviously, depending on your denomination, depending on your type of Christianity or faith, might depend on whether you believe that, people will be raptured and not live through the tribulation for 7 years until the second coming of Christ. But it's written from the perspective of people that do have that belief. And so it's a series that was in like the late 90s that got very popular inside churches and stuff, obviously.
Yeah. More in Protestant communities.
100% in Protestant communities. And it's not spectacularly written. However, like the religious and biblical themes that play out through the entire thing is really interesting because these are the people who were not raptured, were not believers. And so they're stuck living through the 7-year tribulation and like all the different things that play along. They've got a character who's the Antichrist and like all this shit.
It's better than The Leftovers.
I really enjoy the series. It's not particularly well written, but I really enjoy it.
It's conceptually very cool.
What's interesting about that is that Latter-day Saints have a pretty
I thought they had ladders.
No. We have a pretty structured line of prophecy in regards to the last days because of the prophecies of Joseph Smith. And we believe that there's going to be a New Jerusalem and the gathering of Israel and all these like really important things. And part of it is that our church is actively for years and years have been buying up land in Jackson County, Missouri, ready for the second coming and stuff. And so there's a lot happening actually.
Do you get an invite if like there's like shit hits the fan? Do you like individually get invites? Like how's that? How do you get there?
Are you constantly on the look for the Antichrist?
No, not as like we believe that there will be, but not as like we need to identify him, but other signs of the times where I'm actively interested in. And in terms of the gathering of Israel, that comes down to denominational interpretation because we believe the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ is the actual restoration of the covenants God made with Abraham and therefore the restoration of the house of Israel. The gathering of Israel refers to the growth of the church. And so we believe that that's actually going to be an active thing that's happening in the last days. And so there's a scripture that says, this is from the Doctrine and Covenants, so it's a Joseph Smith revelation where it says that and in the last days, the only people who will not be at war with one another will be those at the New Jerusalem, and so basically it's going to really get bad, basically, and stuff.
Prophecies
like
are always so hard, though. Like they're vague. Sometimes, most of the time they're very vague. It's hard to find. Like
it's not a prophecy until it comes true.
Yeah. Also, the 1 Second After series is a pretty decent series of books that kind of deals with what happens to America after an EMP. First book, holy shit, it is a massive bullet to the head. The rest of the series you could probably skip if you don't want to continue reading it, but the first one is really fucking good.
Rapture's like a highly contentious thing among like religious denominations because there's very little in the scripture to really back it up, and it didn't become popularized until probably like the 1800s or whatever. But it's
fascinating. It's one of my favorite ones to read. Like
I reckon I could very much enjoy it. I actually enjoy a lot of fictions that's founded, even if it's on doctrine that I do not believe in. I still find it really, really interesting. The whole Constantine stuff and how that's tied with Catholic, belief and other things. Yeah, I find it fun. Yeah. I enjoy it. I enjoy a lot of it, actually.
I would maybe give the Audible books a try. I think they're free, actually, on Audible. So I would give them a try. They have done a couple attempts, very poor attempts at adapting them for film.
Yeah, they have.
They did one back in the day with Kirk Cameron.
It was a series, right?
Yeah.
They tried to. It was super low budget. The acting wasn't great, but it was a much better adaptation than the Nicolas Cage one they did several years later. That is a horrible adaptation. It's nothing like the book at all.
But it's got Nicolas Cage, man.
It does, yes. It does.
So you got that, I guess.
The problem is it's like a 12 or 13 book series, right? Because it's going like 7 years.
Yeah.
Like all these momentous events, the opening of the scrolls, all of this stuff. So it's.
It sounds like it's founded on a lot of trying to interpret revelations, which is in itself I find it's fun. I find it wild fun.
So I do think you'd think that the book series was interesting at the very least.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny because different denominations have different interpretations of Revelations and things like that. And again, Latter-day Saints, we have a pretty strict kind of understanding of a lot of the stuff in Revelations that sometimes differs, sometimes is in line with other Christian denominations. But I find it all very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And that's our religious segment.
There you go. Let's go to rants. Sorry, I had to feed the dogs.